Coming up on today's episode of Inside Man United, the headlines. Sir Jim Ratcliffe faces rejection in ambitious £2 billion Man United plan to revamp Old Trafford. And Sir Jim targets at least 3 transfers in big money Man United summer spree with 11 players to leave. United lose a vital cog as Ten Hag's right-hand man agrees to historic MLS managerial role. While INEOS and United also target 170 million Bayer Leverkusen quartet in Sir Jim Ratcliffe's splurge. Also, United prepare a stunning €200 million bid for world's best winger. And Eric Ten Hag to be thwarted by rules from FIFA as he struggles to find a new left back. All that coming up. Hello everybody, good morning and welcome back to Inside Man United. My name is Rowan Brennan, and as always, if you're new to these parts and you like the content, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Just wanted to start off the episode to say a big thank you to everyone who has been watching and supporting the channel. I've doubled my subscribers in the last couple of weeks, so obviously the stuff that I'm doing is liked by some people, and I've been getting some great comments on Twitter and in the comment section. A lot of the videos, very supportive, people showing their appreciation for the channel and the work that I'm trying to do here. Just trying to deliver the news and keep you guys up to date on the club that we love. So just wanted to start the top of the episode with just a little message of appreciation to everyone who has hit like, hit subscribe, taking time out of their day to watch this one. There's so many other things you can be watching on YouTube, especially with United channels. So yeah, as a young channel starting out, I can tell you it means a huge amount. So just wanted to say thank you very, very much. And on that, let's get into the news. Okay, so today we kick things off with the Irish Mirror. For those of you who aren't from Ireland, we do have our own version of the Mirror, the Irish Mirror, and it's just as high quality as the English one, but they do have some reasonably okay articles in here and some decent sporting journalists. So this one's by Felix Keith, sports reporter for Daily Mirror, but you can find this news article in a few different publications. This is not an exclusive by any means, but Sir Jim Ratcliffe faces rejection in ambitious £2 billion Man United plan to revamp. So you may have heard on previous episodes or read yourself in stories that he wants to turn Old Trafford into a Wembley of the North. And as such, thought that he might be able to use the government to help develop that plan based on the levelling up project that they decided to launch in 2019, which is essentially to try and drive more money up to the north of England, where most investment and most kind of major investment happens down in the south of the country, much to the annoyance of the northern part of England. And I think he thought that he might be able to get some support from the English government, but that's been roundly rejected and denied by people connected to that. So it says here, United owner has little chance of using taxpayer money to redevelop Old Trafford. So yeah, after his plan to get his United stake put through, I think that happened on Tuesday. It goes on to say here, speaking to BBC Sport after his takeover was rubber stamped, he suggests the government might consider funding the work. I think as part of a regeneration project, there has to be a conversation with the national government. The North deserves some thought as well as the South, I think, if it is a national stadium. It's not gone down well in Whitehall, and it seems extremely unlikely that it will gather any momentum, according to the Times. While public money could be spent on regenerating the area around Old Trafford, it would not be allocated to provide United with a new stadium. Okay, now the argument that's being put forward here is quite fair. It's hard to argue against it. So a government source told the Eye, it's just not something we'd entertain. The government doesn't tend to fund football stadiums. Where would it end? Meanwhile, former Conservative Sports Minister Tracy Crouch told the Times, when you have historic football clubs elsewhere in the pyramid on the brink of collapse, it is an astonishing suggestion that taxpayer money could be spent on one of the richest clubs in the world because the underinvestment in its stadium by its billionaire owners. Yeah, I get that. That's a very astute point. So yeah, kind of hard to argue with that. And Yeah, so INEOS founder worth 21.2 billion himself, according to Forbes. And although he's eager to paint himself as a boyhood United fan from Failsworth, he's a tax exile. And they start going into the fact that he lives in Monaco. I'm sorry, if you've got disgraceful amounts of money and you look at how frivolously it's spent by the government, if I was making crazy amounts of money and I could avoid paying tax, yeah, I'd do it too. And anyone who says they wouldn't is a liar. So I don't really have much hate towards these very wealthy guys not paying tax, because anyone else would do the exact same thing in their position. And it's easy to, piss on their chips because you're not a billionaire and you go, it's a disgrace. But yeah, okay. Let's see what you say when you're a billionaire. So there's quite a big argument in my view. It goes here to say that he is a tax exile, having changed his tax residence from Hampshire to Monaco 4 years ago. Speaking on Wednesday, he tried to marry his interests with the United with those of the local population of Manchester. So he goes on to say, there is quite a big argument in my view for regenerating that whole south side of Manchester, he told the BBC. The nucleus of it would be building a new world-class state-of-the-art stadium, which could take England games, FA Cup final, Champions League finals. It could serve the north of England. Good argument. And what he's saying is like, okay, it's not up to me as a billionaire to develop something which will serve the national interest. I mean, when there's an Olympics on, when there's a World Cup on, whose stadiums are you going to be using? Yeah, the clubs who've privately built them with their own money. Yes, they'll get some match day revenue, but the government's able to leverage these stadiums themselves. So why can't these stadiums and sports clubs leverage the government? It is a mutually beneficial arrangement. So it can't just be one-way traffic. So, why not? Manchester City got a free stadium off the back of the Olympics. United were offered it and they turned it down because they didn't want to get rid of Old Trafford. So City got a free stadium off the back of an Olympics. And all Manchester United is asking is, maybe we could build a better stadium. Old Trafford, it's iconic. It will serve for tourism. It serves the national interest. And it does. So, there is a bias in the UK in terms of where national stadiums have been built. They're all in the south. There's a lot of talk about levelling up. HS2 has been cancelled and all that is going to be spent on the rail network in London. The people in the north pay their taxes just as the people in the south. Why shouldn't there be a venue in the north for England to play at? Very, very valid point. Whitehall might not be keen on his ideas, but local council leader Tom Ross was much more complimentary. He told the BBC, we've got two visions that are coming together. A potential brand new stadium is discussed by Sir Jim, but also the vision we have for housing regeneration, bringing this area back to life. There's a lot of excitement in Manchester United about this as a key partner of ours. We look forward to working together to deliver those plans. So I get the guys going, what, we're going to pay for a billionaire stadium. But at the same time, it's like, you guys are going to be able to use this stadium. It's an iconic brand. It's an iconic stadium. It brings a huge amount of tourism into the UK, just by the very fact that thousands of people travel to the UK twice a week just to go see that football team. So it might be in the national interest, to maybe put a little money into it if it's going to be able to serve the national interest for things outside of football. So there is an argument there as well. So an interesting one, and we'll see how that develops. Again, in the Irish Mirror, it says Sir Jim targets at least 3 transfers. Now, this article doesn't go on to say who those 3 transfers will be, and I've looked high and low in this article, and maybe I've missed it. But it really does kind of put a focus on 11 players that could be let go of, many of whom are not a big surprise. So United have spent more than 500 million over the previous 3 years. And of course, as the new FFP rules have come into place, clubs are only permitted losses of 105 million to work within these regulations. So he'll hope to call upon the expertise of Dan Ashworth. That's exactly why he's been brought in, just to make sure that there is a lot more sense brought into the way things are done at the club. It says Anthony Martial is set to see his contract expire while as many as 11 players could be available for sale. Jadon Sancho, Donny, Facundo Pellistri, Brandon Williams are all perhaps more likely to depart than remain at Old Trafford. Remaining within the confines of financial rules will be at the forefront. So then you've got Christian Eriksen, Varane, Casemiro, Maguire, McTominay, Wan-Bissaka and Lindelof. You can't argue with any of those players being sold. You can't. And then you might have to put in the likes of Luke Shaw in there as well, just given he's missed 200 games for United since 2014. So in 10 years, he's missed 200 games. That means he misses on average 20 games a season. That is completely unacceptable, which is a shame. He's a great player. I like Luke Shaw. I think the way he has regenerated his reputation and his career in the last few years is admirable. But he's missing too often. And you cannot build a title-winning team around a defense that's always injured. Varane, injury-prone. Martinez, God knows. Malacia, we've had him for 2 years. He's been out for a year. Luke Shaw misses 20 games a season on average. You can't build a title-winning team when that is your defense. And I've said it in previous episodes with the amount of defenders United are linked with. I would not be surprised to see United bring in 3 or 4 defenders. I think Wan-Bissaka will go. Lindelof will go. Maguire will go. I think Varane will go. I think Shaw could be up. Malacia is not fit for purpose anymore. But again, if we get a fit left back, you can still have him waiting in the wings to get fit while we have an operational left back. But it's hard to argue that, like, our backline, we've seen it this season, and these players continue to get injured. There's no point having a Ferrari in the driveway if it's got no engine. I mean, it looks nice. It's great. I mean, you can remember the good times and, you can cross your fingers and hope you can get it up and running again. But the fact is, it's just sitting there doing nothing. And that's what a lot of our defenders are doing at the moment. So yeah, Ratcliffe said of working within profit and sustainability rules, effectively it takes into account your prior expenditure, and the club spent quite heavily in the last couple of seasons, just throwing money at the problem because these people didn't know what the hell they were doing. I mean, I hope Ed Woodward goes down in the annals of Manchester United as one of the worst, most villainous, idiotic people to ever grace the halls of Manchester. What an absolute clown that man was. So that does impact FFP going forward because they've used quite a large part of their allowance. I don't know the full answer to that question at the moment. It's obviously related to sales as well as purchases, so we need to get our heads around that well before the summer window. There's no question that history will impact this summer window. Of course it will, but I think with a lot of sales and a little bit of investment from Sir Jim, I think it's safe to say that there's going to be a pretty sizable war chest in the summer if United want to compete. But he did say it's going to take 2 or 3 years to get back up. He goes, United fans will not accept a long-term 10-year project. Either does he. He's 71. He wants to see success while he's still relatively healthy. And yeah, he said about 2 to 3 years is when they expect to be consistently challenging for the league and the Champions League, but hopefully sooner, So on other news, United lose a vital cog as Ten Hag right-hand man agrees to historic MLS managerial role. Now, he's not one of Ten Hag's guys, all right? He's someone that was there during the Ollie days. So Eric Ramsey, he's agreed to become the head coach of Minnesota United back in the MLS. So they've a targeted move for Ramsey after interim head coach Sean McCauley quit the role last month. It's been suggested in recent days they've been pushing hard to land the United man. He spent close to 3 years with the Red Devils after initially joining them as a player development and set-piece coach under then manager Solskjaer. Now, as player development, you can't complain with how some of these young lads have developed and gotten their chances at the first team and are now going off to play for, La Liga first teams and doing reasonably well. Set pieces, not so much. Not exactly been a strong point for United for about 10 years now. So I don't know how well he's done on that side of things, but player development, maybe okay. I don't think he's going to be a big miss, but again, this is the news and we're just bringing it to you. So Ramsey has since become an important member of the backroom team under Solskjaer's successor, Eric Ten Hag. Prior to his time at Old Trafford, he enjoyed roles with the likes of Chelsea, Swansea and Shrewsbury. A highly regarded coach, also had a spell as assistant manager of Wales under Rob Page last year. So yeah, very best of luck to him. But someone that I think is replaceable, and I have no doubt that INEOS will be able to find a very suitable candidate to fill his shoes. So good luck to everyone involved in that. Bayer Leverkusen, we did this a couple of episodes ago where Tapsoba and Frimpong, I think we're being linked with United, but such as Leverkusen's quality been, I mean, this just screams Ajax circa 2019 or Monaco circa 2013. I think I might have got that year wrong, but this team is going to get absolutely butchered at the end of the season, which is such a shame when these smaller teams just get it right, all the stars align, and they just get this great collection of players who just seem to do the impossible and are able to take on the biggest and baddest in the game, both domestically and in Europe. And then as soon as they do well, all the big teams, while they're licking their wounds, just whip out their big, fat, veiny checkbooks and then just purge the team of all its talent. But listen, such is life. And, Leverkusen are going to get a lot of money for these players. So United reportedly interested in a 170 million Bayer Leverkusen quartet. So the players that are being linked here, are where have we got them? Yeah, Tapsoba, Ezekiel Palacios, a guy who I did an episode on months ago, very good defensive midfielder, and seems to be doing very, very well there. Jeremy Frimpong and Odilon Kusonu, who is Tapsoba's centre-back partner. So it's claimed Frimpong is the most serious target, which makes sense. But with Dalot doing what he's doing, I don't see him being sold. So I don't see there really being a need for Frimpong unless he wants to come in as a backup to Dalot. It remains to be seen what happens there. But I wouldn't be so concerned with right back with Dalot there at the moment. I think he's come on quite well for someone who I was perfectly happy to sell at the beginning of the season and even as close as Christmas. But I think there's a player there. But anyone who's watched this channel with any regularity knows that I hate revisionism of players' shit form for a majority of the season. They have a couple of good games and now all of a sudden people are like, isn't he amazing? But you know, I think he certainly deserves another season to kind of build on what he's shown in so many instances this season. So United apparently not so concerned with the fullback's height, 5'6". I don't think it really matters if you've got a short fullback. They're not really going up for set pieces. They're whipping in balls. They're not heading it in the box. I don't see Luke Shaw scoring lots of headers. He's 6 foot, by the way, Luke Shaw. He doesn't look it, but he's 6 foot. I think he might even be 6'1". So he's probably leaving this summer, has a release clause of 40 million. United are also dealing with, inverted commas, defensive midfielder Palacios. Now, this is the kind of player United need to be going for. This stuff about De Jong. By the way, De Jong has scored 1 goal and no assists for Barcelona this year. He's always injured. I think he would be a disaster at United. He'll stifle Kobbie Mainoo's development. He's not better than Bruno Fernandes, and I have my own question marks over Bruno Fernandes at the moment. De Jong would be an absolutely bananas transfer. That's just Mason Mount 2.0 all over again. You're just looking at yourself going, why? Why are you doing this? Palacios, I like that because it makes sense because we're going to have to get rid of Casemiro. We need a defensive midfielder. Therefore, De Jong is not that player. I will be banging that drum all year until the end of the summer transfer window. God, I hope De Jong doesn't come in. Who was valued at 40 million, though the Bundesliga side's willingness to sell Palacios is low. The same could be said for Tapsoba, but there's a very strong link with Tapsoba. A lot of people would like him to come to United. There's a lot of noise about him. Joined for 20 million, which isn't an insignificant amount for a German club, particularly Bayer Leverkusen, who aren't always in the upper echelons. They kind of yo-yo up and down every few years. In 2020, they're saying he's now worth twice that. At least, I'd say it's going to be 50 or 60 to get him. The United are interested. A sale is deemed unlikely. The fellow centre-back Kusunu, meanwhile, could cost United at least 50 million. So they're saying it's 170 million for all 4. They're clearly not going to be buying all 4. And I don't think Leverkusen are going to let all 4 go in one season. They might, but only for mad money. And I don't see United buying 4 players from the same team. It's just not going to happen. But do I think that there are 1 or 2, maybe even 3 legitimate targets in those 4? I've no doubt all 4 being looked at. I said this in other episodes. People go, oh, you've linked us with like 50 players in the last 3 weeks. The fact is, we're probably looking at all those 50 players. That's the way transfer strategies work. You need to have 3 or 4 names for every position. Even when you sign a brand new player, when you sign even a new manager, they will have a list of 2 or 3 people to replace him should anything happen, because shit can happen. Look at Allardyce at England. All of a sudden, you're gone after 3 games because you did something dumb. You need to have contingencies, however unlikely. So I've no doubt these players are being linked with. So anyone that's going to, give me shit for linking us with every player that's in the papers, I am merely delivering the news. That is it. But I've no doubt that there is legitimate links with all these players, for sure. Now, this is an interesting one. United linked with a 200 million euro bid for world's best winger. I love Vinicius Jr. I think he's a fantastic player. I was rubbing my hands with glee when, I don't know if anyone remembers a few years back where Real Madrid were struggling in a game. Excuse me. And you could see Benzema at halftime speaking. They were doing lip reading, which they seem to love in Spain. And he was saying, do not pass the ball to Vinicius. He's not with us. He's not playing well, blah, 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 blah. I thought, oh, this could be the end of Vinicius at Real. I was like, I would love United to put in a bid for him. I think he's a super player. I really, really do. And so United are ready to put 200 million on the table to make Real Madrid superstar Vinicius Jr. the first signing of the Sir Jim Ratcliffe era. It's pretty much certain that Mbappe is going to go to Real Madrid. And then obviously Real have this young 17-year-old coming in now, 17 years of age. I think they're probably going to develop him for the next 3 or 4 years. They've got Rodrigo, Vinicius, Mbappe will be coming in. I think they want to make a move on Haaland, and I think Haaland wants to leave as well. They will get a very, very large transfer fee for Vinicius Jr. And he could be surplus to requirements. And Ancelotti's already been saying he's the best left winger. He's the best winger in the world. Is he saying that because he wants him to stay, or is he saying that because he's trying to up his value because he knows his sale is inevitable in the summer? Who knows? United ready to sweep for Brazilian winger Vinicius. The BBC recently confirmed Mbappe has agreed to join Real Madrid. That is true. He's going to cost an absolute arm and a leg. Ancelotti's side have thrived in a 4-4-2 formation this season with the midfield quartet deployed as a diamond. Vinicius and Rodrigo have led the line, though Mbappe will obviously walk straight into the 11. That's true. There's been rampant speculation Vinicius could be sacrificed both from the financial and team selection perspectives to make room for Mbappe. Both players generally prefer shading over to the left and cutting inside onto the right foot. That is absolutely correct. So listen, could they put Vinicius on the right-hand side of a two-man strike partnership? Vinicius and Mbappe is a delicious combination. I mean, there'd be few better front twos than that. And to be honest, bring back the 4-4-2. I love an L4-4-2. That old school formation. It's good to see two attackers up front. Ancelotti recently labeled Vinicius not only the best winger in the world, but the best player in the world. Well, listen, you're going to say that about your top boy. But to be honest, with Ronaldo on the wane and Messi kind of at the end of his career, Mbappe, he's only really been applying himself in League One, so you can't really say someone's the best player in the world when they've only played in France. There's an argument that Vinicius is one of the best players in the world, if not the best player. It's probably Haaland, but Vinicius is a better footballer. Do you know what I mean? Haaland's very, very good at what he does, but Vinicius is an absolutely beautiful footballer. He's great. But with perhaps the world's actual best player in Mbappe soon to arrive, that's questionable. What's more, according to Romano, Real's Mbappe coup has not delayed their grand plans for Brazilian striker Endrick. So you might remember this young lad who Real were chasing for a lot of the summer transfer window last year. He's set to join up with his new Real Madrid teammates when turning 18 in July, and the commonly held belief is he's ready to make an instant impact. I can't see an 18-year-old leading the line with Mbappe, but he might play second fiddle to Rodrigo. Real Madrid, they could, make it. They need a lot of money to support this Mbappe transfer. Even though he's free, they're going to have to give him a fat signing on fee. And he's probably going to be on $500,000 a week. They have to get that money from somewhere. And if they can get 150 million for Vinicius or, south of that, I think United could really do with that. And United, if they sold Rashford for 70, 80, 90, 100 million to PSG, there's no reason that that transfer couldn't go through. Citing information from Le 10 Sport, it's revealed the Red Devils are interested in bringing Vinicius to Old Trafford. What's more, they're prepared to put 200 on the table. I don't think they're going to put 200 on the table. Such a momentous transfer would be a spectacular way for Sir Jim Ratcliffe to kick his era off in style. I don't see that happening. ESPN Brazil recently claimed Real signing Mbappe would not force the club into selling one of their best players. Listen, it's not unlikely. It's not impossible. You can't have every player in your team. Sometimes you got to make way and you got to sell people and make a few quid. They want Mbappe bad, and they can get a huge fee for Vinicius. So it could make sense. And if he's available, I think United are one of the few clubs that need a player that can play a wide left like that. And they should have the money. So let's see what happens. And finally, United thwarted by FIFA rules is Ten Hag fighting new crisis. So, I mean, I've said this on other episodes. I think the fact that we let Alvaro Fernandez go and Reguilon go is so naive and amateur of the club to do that when you've got Luke Shaw, who's injury prone, and Tyrell Malacia, who's been missing for a year and needs and has already had 2 surgeries. To then let Reguilon go to Brentford, I find baffling. Now we've got Harry Amas or Amas in the youth setup. He's 16 years of age. He's already training with the senior team. He's playing with the under-18s. They're unbeaten this season. There's huge noise about Harry Amas, and he's a great little player. But I mean, if you didn't think Alvaro Fernandez was ready, how the hell do you think a 16-year-old is going to be able to come in and play the rest of the season there? So yeah, United could be forced to play the rest of the season without a senior left back. We know that Sean and Malacia are injured, and FIFA rules will prevent us from recalling Fernandez from his loan spell. You can't play for more than 2 clubs in a season. He's already played for Granada, and he's already now playing at Benfica, so he cannot play for United, which is an absolute disaster. Senior figures at Old Trafford have now been left to rue their decision. Even at the time, I don't own a football club, and even I was like, Jesus, lads, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, it's just bananas. Just to just have him there as backup, for God's sake. I mean, even when they brought Reguilon first, he didn't get a game for about a month. I mean, he was there just waiting to come on. It was like, Christ Almighty, what is going on here? So the 20-year-old started the season with Granada after being shipped out to Portugal. So yeah, meaning appearances for a third club, Manchester United, are off limits. Now there is talk of United having Anthony come in at left back. I'm sorry, but no, absolutely not. Well, what about Antonio Valencia and Ashley Young? They were wingers, forward attacking players converted into fullbacks. They were twice the footballer that Anthony is. Anthony runs around a lot, but being a defensive fullback is one thing. But getting someone like Anthony to play this position, I just think is absolutely bananas. I would rather have a 16-year-old Harry Amas playing as left back than putting Anthony in there. Now there is talk about Brandon Williams being recalled from Ipswich. I would 100% bring Brandon Williams back. He's doing very well. Ipswich are chasing promotion. Brandon Williams is a good player. He's tough. He's dogged. He's up for the fight. And there was a lot of people that were quite sad to see Brandon Williams go. And I would certainly be recalling him given the sticky situation United find themselves in. And yeah, let's see how things develop there. But it's a tough one. Anthony, absolutely no way. And I do think that we should be bringing back Brandon Williams because we need a left back. We can't keep shoehorning players that don't play in certain positions as like Diogo Dalot on a left back, while Lindelof is right back. And then, I mean, it's just absolutely bananas. So I hope we bring Brandon Williams back. We arrange something with Ipswich. They'd be loath to lose him because he's doing very well there. He's very well liked by the fans, by the team, by the management structure. And they're chasing down promotion into the Premier League and will not want to lose one of their best players. But tough shit. He's our player. We need him. So sorry about that, boys. I think that's what we need to do. As always, thank you very, very much for joining me. Hit that like button, hit subscribe. And as always, I will see you on the next one.